WTMJ Milwaukee.
Good morning, 10:01. We have 42 degrees. It's going to be cloudy and breezy today with a high of 52. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly speaking on the phone to discuss the war with Ukraine. The President Trump's supposed to call Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after he speaks with Putin. Trump has urged the two sides to reach a ceasefire deal. A day after his prostate cancer diagnosis was revealed, former President Joe Biden on social media said cancer touches us all. Here's ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula on treatment considerations for Biden's case.
Age obviously factors into everything. We see prostate cancer usually rise with increase in age. It's the average age of diagnosis is 68. But certainly when you look at factoring in what are we going to treat this person with, you look at age, their health status, their quality of life that they want, their life expectancy, all of that factors into the treatment plan.
Biden's cancer has a Gleason score of 9, meaning it is aggressive. 7 of the 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail Friday still on the lam. ABC's Faith Abube has more.
The governor wants a full state audit of this facility. In the meantime, authorities are trying to incentivize more public help. They're boosting the bounty on each of those inmates' heads to $20,000 each.
The inmates face various charges, including murder. A 4-hour standoff ends peacefully on Milwaukee's near west side. Milwaukee police, Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies, and South Milwaukee police confronted 3 suspects wanted in a burglary in South Milwaukee. 2 men, ages 35 and 44, and a 27-year-old woman were eventually arrested and booked on burglary charges. Deadly shooting last night in Glendale, Iroquois Avenue and West Richter Place. A 31-year-old man was killed, a 34-year-old Glendale resident arrested. In Milwaukee, there were 8 shootings over the weekend.
1 shooting was deadly and 3 harmed teenagers. 4 people were shot between 4:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. Saturday, a 16-year-old and 3 adults ages 21, 27, and 30. 3 people were shot between midnight and 1 a.m. on Sunday, a 17-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 14-year-old. At 4:15 a.m. on Sunday, a 34-year-old was shot and killed near 31st and Burleigh. MPD is still searching for suspects in all 8 shootings. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
A former teacher and school bus driver in Pewaukee faces 4 felonies of sexual assault of a child. 62-year-old Thomas Felser accused of grooming a 6-year-old student. Waukesha County Assistant District Attorney Vivian Morris.
The victim later participated in a forensic interview where she disclosed that the defendant repeatedly touched her on the bus. Law enforcement corroborated these sexual assaults by reviewing surveillance video from the bus.
Felser previously worked at the Pewaukee School District for over 3 decades as a teacher. He's being held on $350,000 cash bond. Medicaid coverage critical for expecting moms, but it's also important before pregnancy even begins. That's what Joan Alker, Executive Director of Georgetown's Center for Children and Families, tells WTMJ. She says proposed Medicaid cuts could hit Wisconsin women especially hard.
We really have a maternal health crisis in this country. One of the reasons for that is because women are not able to access care they need to control some of their chronic conditions so they can be in the best health they can be before they get pregnant. That's going to influence successful outcomes for both mom and baby.
Elker adds that losing Medicaid coverage too soon can lead to worse outcomes postpartum. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow is down 24 points. The Nasdaq down 103. The S&P 500 is down 18. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 10:05.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geis's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geisdoors.com. Geis has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geis at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geis. Visit them online at geisdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
I've had a number of surgeries, and frankly, I don't have time to rehab a surgery and an operation at this point in my life. I didn't want to take time off my kids' activities.
That's why former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter turned to QC Kinetics. We couldn't be happier saving our patients like him from operating rooms and long recoveries.
I've been able to resume like normal activity for me, which is a lot of running. It's a lot of workouts. I've been very, very blessed with how it's been able to hold up.
For so long, patients have accepted surgery as the only solution. But with new technologies, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics use regenerative treatments, your body's own biologics, to help heal and restore knees, hips, shoulders, and backs.
I actually ran into a friend of mine over at our golf course, and he had his knee done. It felt so well. He'd got his shoulder done. He goes, I can't thank you enough. He had heard the commercial on the air, and so it's feeling great.
Find out how you can avoid surgery and finally get relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Jackson Churio's home run robbery highlighted the Brewers' 5-2 win over the Twins. Churio's catch prevented a game-tying 2-run home run off the bat of Royce Lewis in the 8th inning. Freddie Peralta got the win on the mound, allowing a run in 5 innings, striking out 5. Brewers continue their homestand tonight against the Orioles. Milwaukee 13-14 against American League foes this season. Scottie Scheffler's a major champion once again. Scheffler won the PGA Championship after finishing atop the leaderboard at 11 under par. It's the third major championship in Scheffler's career. Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau, and Davis Riley finished tied for second at 6 under par. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Pretty quiet out there. We could see some lane closures. I-43 north at Good Hope Road. Some debris in the roadway there. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy today, a high 52. Chance of rain later tonight, low 45. Rainy, windy tomorrow, 50 for the high. Scattered showers on Wednesday, 53. Then partly cloudy both Thursday and Friday with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Right now, Madison at 45, Green Bay 46, Milwaukee 42 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Show. She is Kristin Brey, fresh off her first pitch debut at American Family Field. She did wonderfully well.
It went past the plate.
Yeah,
it did not go over the plate.
Let's
it did go
honest.
past the plate.
Let's
it did
be
not
honest.
bounce.
Catcher should have caught it.
He told me he should have caught it.
Oh, he admitted it. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my nephew Mitch, who graduated this weekend from MU Law School.
Oh.
He is now a lawyer.
Well, he still has to pass the bar, right?
No, not in Wisconsin. If you graduate
you're right. So he's going to practice in Wisconsin?
He's right here on Wisconsin Avenue, I believe.
There you go.
Good job to Mitch. Matt Smith, political director
Good morning.
at Channel 12. Did you go to law school?
I should have.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish sometimes you had that background?
110%.
I literally looked up programs last week, not that I have the time to do it, of like an LLM or some kind of legal degree that doesn't require you to be a lawyer, but so that you know the law, because God, would that be useful?
Yes, and my wife says, you like to fight. You should have been a lawyer.
Here's the thing for both of you. You're young enough. You could still do that.
You could still do it.
I probably could.
You and your great courses and just taking history classes.
Big fan of great courses.
I know you
All
are.
right, Matt Smith. Big convention in Wisconsin. That's my segue. In Wausau. Was it Wausau or Wausau area?
Rothschild. So Wausau area.
All right. So
just outside.
I guess the surprise, maybe not a surprise, but Brian Schimming reelected to another term as the chair of the Wisconsin Republican Party. There was some buzz. I've talked to folks like Bill McCoshen who said there was some concern about fundraising.
Yeah.
Did any of that come through this conversation that happened in Rothschild?
Well, listen. So there was a lot of chatter, right, leading up, and I think there still is going to be a lot of chatter about the future of the Republican Party, especially coming off the major loss in the spring with Susan Crawford's race, and some of that from the grassroots has been targeted at Brian Schimming. It's a little different than Democrats. The delegates don't vote to elect. It's the executive committee of the state Republican Party that officially hires him.
Right.
So delegates.
Do we know who's on the committee? Will it be names that we recognize?
Probably not.
Okay.
A lot of them. But delegates, in terms of their power at the convention, there was some chatter and there was circulation of papers that they wanted to bring up this vote of no confidence, essentially saying we as delegates don't like what you're doing. That never came to fruition. There's still all this chatter, but I mean, as of now, I think it appears that he's safe in terms of leading the party into the midterms as they look at what happened in the spring and now look forward to the midterms. It's the executive committee that would have to, quote unquote, fire him if any action was taken.
And so you had him on the show, and so he sounded still pretty confident as far as having the executive committee's backing.
Do you still feel you have the backing of the executive committee at this point?
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you that this, the Supreme Court race obviously was tough for a lot of folks, but I just point to people. We've had so many successes over the last couple of years. You get some tough losses. Nobody bats 500, but it feels good as I move around the state, and people are already focused on next year's elections.
So when he says so many successes over the last couple of years, obviously President Trump won in the fall.
Yeah.
Maybe Ron Johnson's the other one. That's about it.
Was he? And he was the chairman when Ron Johnson in fall of 2022.
Yeah.
But so that's what. Do you think there is other? Like, what else do you think he's pointing to?
I mean, a majority of the conversation was based around Trump and the November elections.
Let me be honest, at least from my opinion.
Yeah.
If Trump loses, he's not going to be reelected. Shimmy's not going to be reelected to that position. I mean, that's just my take on it.
If Trump had lost.
Yes.
Unless the third term is coming.
Don't even start with that.
And looking at November, the question the party was grappling with, especially at the convention when they heard from all these speakers, is how do Republicans win in Wisconsin when Trump is not on the ballot? And there's all these ideas. There's all this talk. Derek Van Orden threw out the idea of eliminating spring elections, having the legislature completely just get rid of them for a competitive advantage. So they're grappling with what do we do, because we know when
getting rid of combining nonpartisan elections with partisan elections
so just completely eliminating spring elections.
I'm actually not opposed to that idea.
I'm not opposed to that either, because I feel like we have a lot of elections in Wisconsin.
Lot of elections.
And it's often there's two for each, for both nonpartisan and partisan. It's like we were joking last week as far as the fact that we're kind of in an off season, only to have another Supreme Court election next spring.
Yeah, and as far as cost, you actually would lower the cost because you're doing less elections, which are significant, especially when you're talking about big cities like Madison and Green Bay and Milwaukee.
And most of our nonpartisan elections aren't really that nonpartisan anyway.
Yeah. So that's sort of gone under the, gone by the wayside. So, yeah, I agree with that. Let's take a break here. Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12. So much to talk about. We got some audio of Gwen Moore, our congressman from sort of the Lake Shore district there in Milwaukee area. I think she goes all the way down to Cudahy or South Milwaukee. Does that sound right? I think so. And then don't forget, later, every day this week, I always look forward to this week. It's our Salute to Service presented by Waterstone Bank, and we got a good one today. And there's a canine officer, and the dog's not going to be here, but the dog has a fantastic name.
This is so disappointing. I know he's working, so I probably wouldn't be able to pet him anyways.
I think we did that once before, and it can get a little crazy because the dogs are they're always at full attention. You make the wrong move, that dog's going to give you a serious look or come at you. Yeah, because they're good at their jobs. She is Kristin, I'm Steve. It is Point Taken PT on a Monday. Thanks for being here.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde for Excel Custom Decks. I'm the football guy, definitely not the outdoor home projects guy. So when it comes to things like deck building, Excel Custom Decks is the true go-to expert. Family owned and operated, Excel Custom Decks uses the finest materials and products and combines that with superior craftsmanship. If you want your outdoor area to shine this summer, contact Excel Custom Decks now. Whatever you dream up for that perfect deck, pergola, or outdoor kitchen, Rob and his family can build it. Excel Custom Decks, decking excellence by design. Visit excelcustomdecks.com today.
It's time. It's time your ad dollar reached far more than you thought possible. And it's time your ad message made a dramatic impact on your bottom line. The results we brought our small business clients are significant, and there's no reason we can't bring you the same success, no matter what your ad budget is. So go to Anderson-Smith.com, hit the Contact Us button, email me, and I will call you in short order, because it is time. Anderson-Smith.com. We help small business advertisers get better results. If you're buying and creating advertising for your small business, but you're not sure how to make it work, then I want you to know we can make radio or TV advertising work for you. Both are very powerful media, and both can be affordable. And we have a laundry list of notable long-term clients who will vouch for us. So if you have an interest in increasing the chances of your small business's advertising success, go to anderson-smith.com, hit the Contact Us button, send me a quick email, and I'll call you in short order. That's anderson-smith.com. We help small business advertisers get better results.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. Don't miss Capri Community's Enjoy Life Active Aging Symposium on Wednesday, June 4th at Elmbrick Church in Brookfield from 8:30 to 3 p.m. This is a free and fun event for older adults 55 plus that celebrates active aging, featuring speakers like John McGivern and Jennifer Bartolotta, exhibitors, goat yoga, speed friending, raffles, food, music, and much more. Make the day your own. Pre-register at enjoylifesymposium.com. That's enjoylifesymposium.com. Oh, she's out of her seat, so I have to take her. She's walking around the studio, getting her steps in early on this. Good hair day, by the way, today. You got a lot of comments about your hair at the Brewers game, too. Because you're the only gal who was throwing out the first pitch. And I would say yours was probably, I know this has nothing to do with politics, but I don't really care. It was nice to see that you represented the station so well.
I did.
It's not easy. I've done it before. It can be daunting. Were you a little nervous?
Yeah, a little bit.
But
I practiced a lot with Coach Zepecki that morning, and now I am paying for it because I'm really sore.
I think if Kristin would have had her way, her and I would have been playing catch on the field before.
Literally, I brought gloves to the WTMJ Day tailgate. I was like, hey, can you practice with me? He goes, no, I'm talking to fans.
Yeah, who are fantastic. Thanks for all the folks who turned out, by the way, WTMJ Day. I hope we do that every year because that was a kick, absolute kick. And Jeff and Diane and Amy and all the other people I met out there, thanks for being so nice. Love to see you guys. No one yelled at me. Everyone loved me. I took more pictures than I've taken at an event in a long time. Anyway, the Love Fest is just me saying that. All right. Everybody loves Matt Smith, though, political director of Channel 12, host of Upfront, the best, I will say it, the best political show on local TV across the state of Wisconsin. You're everywhere now, right?
Everywhere, yeah.
All right, so what else came out of this Republican convention last week?
So,
last weekend.
Yeah, so there was the WisPolitics straw poll, which always just kind of gauges the interest of Republicans. They asked about governor. Josh Schoeman, obviously the only Republican officially in the race. He won the straw poll by a few points. Tom Tiffany came in second. So be curious to see. Schoeman won the straw poll.
But he's also the only candidate, so it would be a bad sign for him if he lost the straw poll being the only candidate right now.
I think 38%, Tom Tiffany at 35%, so it was close. Tiffany talked a lot about Governor Evers in his address before delegates, and he still kind of outlined his thought process on if he's going to get in the race on the Republican side and what it would take. There were a whole number of resolutions, as they always do. Delegates voted to back Wisconsin's 1849 abortion law. There was some debate about, do we endorse same-day registration? Do we endorse early voting? One of the resolutions called, and these are all non-binding.
Do you know what the early voting results were?
They were just like floor votes. You would stand up, so they weren't like actually official numbers.
That's popular even among Republicans.
Yeah,
though.
And it was interesting to listen to the debate on that among delegates. And there was this group of Republicans who say absolutely stop it. It causes fraud. But then you had this other group of Republicans, which included some Republican poll workers, saying, listen, this encourages, young people. We need young people to become Republicans, and this is one way to help that is if we allow same-day voter registration, along with, a whole myriad of other factors of why you may want to register same day. There was another debate about the Monday processing, opposing allowing clerks being able to process ballots.
Still against.
Yeah, still against. So this is all delegates. This is all non-binding, but it's supposed to kind of represent, the voice of the Republican Party going into the midterms.
What was the vibe? Because I feel like a lot of this spring, even going into last fall, but certainly this spring, we've talked about on this show the infighting that's happening. And obviously Brian Schimming was not ousted, but was there any talk about unity and coming together with the turning points, younger MAGA crowd versus the old guard of Wisconsin Republicans?
That is essentially all you heard from the delegation, whether it be Senator Ron Johnson, whether it be Brian Schimming, is the only way that Republicans, they say, are going to win the midterms is if we are united and if we open up our tent, right? The people inside the room in Wausau are not going to win the election for the Republican candidate for governor. They've got to get out there and do grassroots.
Is there any serious faction expressed at the convention or not that's not MAGA related or aligned with MAGA?
No, I mean, I don't think that was necessarily expressed. It was all Trump all the time. I think the question is what that will look like in a Republican candidate for governor. And when you look at the state legislature, state Senate candidates, state assembly candidates, how much Republicans mirror Trump. Yeah, that could help in a Republican primary, but what does that do in the general election for Wisconsin? And I think that's where the party is wrestling with, and I think every Republican is, right? What is the party going to look like post-Trump?
All right. Well, when we come back, you got a chance to catch up with Representative Gwen Moore on whether or not the Republicans can expect any votes from Democrats to help get that big, beautiful bill across the line. So we'll hear from her after this.
Well, there were high hopes for your young squad. Maybe your baby birds weren't ready to leave the nest.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Jackson Chariot goes deep in Coors.
The Brewers host the Orioles for a 3-game set. This series is sponsored by Steinhoffel's Memorial Day Sale. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ. Steve Scaffidi for Annex Wealth Management. Annex Wealth Management is a clear choice when clear thinking and advice from a fee-only fiduciary is needed. It's time for an investment retirement plan built by the fee-only fiduciaries at Annex Wealth Management. Knowing where you are and where you can go is important. Annex will help you set actual goals. Head to annexwealth.com, click on the now famous Get Started button. Plus, Annex isn't going to push any commission products at you. Annex makes it convenient. They can handle every aspect. Retirement investment planning, just did that with them. Tax planning, estate planning, have done that as well. One stop, 8 convenient locations. They're all awesome. I met them at the Pfister. Kathy and I met them at the Pfister a couple weeks ago. In person's great. You can also do virtual meetings via Zoom. Also did it that way. All work great. Annex will meet you on your way to the retirement that you desire. There's Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Clients, Annex Ignite. There's a significant difference between financial advisors. Know that difference. Start at annexwealth.com.
I'm Monica Kessler.
Monica makes sure that everything at Kessler's is worthy of a lifetime warranty.
The quality of your ring is incredibly important when it comes to diamond setting, ring sizing, and repairs.
Monica has been part of Kessler's since she was 6 years old.
Let me tell you how to judge the quality of the jewelry you're buying.
It's easier than you think.
All you have to do is read the warranty.
Most stores offer a 5-year warranty, but Kessler's offers a lifetime warranty, the strongest in the world.
We can do it because we put more gold in your jewelry.
When a jeweler wants to make a bigger profit, they put less gold into the jewelry. This makes it thinner and easier to break.
Theirs might look like ours at first glance, but Kessler's jewelry is made not to break, and that takes more gold.
We give you a lifetime warranty because our jewelry is made to last forever, just like your love.
Gold is more than $2,000 an ounce.
Kessler's gives you more gold, a lot more gold.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, go to KesslersDiamonds.com.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on May 20th.
Chariot sends it deep to left, and there she goes!
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Baltimore Orioles.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh my goodness, third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Construction Business Group. Tune in May 20th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Well, welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. He is Steve Scaffidi. And on Mondays, we are always joined by Matt Smith, political director for Channel 12. And you got a chance to catch up with Representative Gwen Moore. And we did, when we were here on Friday, the bill failed in committee. It did pass out of committee last night.
Yeah.
But apparently no Democrats votes because Gwen Moore said, absolutely not. Hold on. Let me get...
Congresswoman, do you see any scenario that any bill coming out of the House will receive Democratic votes?
No.
No room for compromise?
No. I mean, they can end these Medicaid cuts. They can reduce the goals of this. They can reduce the $1.5 trillion so far that we've seen in cuts to Medicaid, to clean energy initiatives, to SNAP. I mean, there's a $300 billion cut in SNAP that will affect 18,000 veterans in our state, just veterans. So I'm not compromising on anything like that. You're not going to get my vote.
That was a question from Jaron Jordan, your partner on Upfront. Do they need Democratic votes, though?
Well, no, but I mean, they don't even have enough Republican votes.
There's some hardliners. I think there's at least 4. That's what I'm hearing that could put a roadblock up for this.
Late last night, the ones who voted no on Friday voted present, which is to allows the bill to move forward. They didn't necessarily change their minds. They're like, okay, we'll let this move forward, but we still got some concerns. So does Senator Johnson, who's on the Senate Budget Committee when it gets over to that chamber.
Yeah, I mean, he talks a lot about deficit, which I share that concern. And while I agree with Gwen Moore on almost nothing, I do appreciate the fact that at least she's saying, and they should all be saying this, how are you paying for this? Yeah. And where are those cuts? I want to see specifics on this stuff. So Gwen Moore or anybody on the other side, tell me what this is and where it's coming from, who gets hurt by any of this stuff. Look, I'm a small government guy, but at some point, you know what? The cuts have to be smartly done and designed and not just willy-nilly, we're to cut 10,000 jobs here or 5,000 here, whatever it is. I want a plan that actually works. Whether they ever get Democratic support for anything that Donald Trump would like, big, beautiful bill or whatever you want to call this thing, doubtful at best.
Yeah.
The House is committed. I think Senate Dems are not going to be helpful at all either. And this is what majorities can do. And the fact that they have the opportunity to pass a budget, we're going to find out pretty quickly. If they don't, then we got a bigger problem.
Well, that's the thing as far as what part do you think is actually for the Republican holdouts? Because there's ones who are like Josh Hawley, like we can't cut Medicaid and wanting a more populist angle. And then there's some like Ron Johnson who obviously say this doesn't go far enough. Like we can't increase the deficit. So as far as where do you think there is room for compromise from the Republican holdouts?
I mean, that's the tightrope that Republicans are walking right now. If you go the way conservative route, then the moderate Republicans are going to say no. And if you start to appease the moderate Republicans who are up for re-election next year and live in a moderate district, the far right conservatives are going to say no. I mean, so this is playing out in real time in terms of House Republican politics, how far you go to either side, and if you're able to find a bill that can get through the House.
Yeah, there's an old phrase called strike while the iron's hot, but if they don't get this done now, this thing drags out. I think McCoshen said if this goes to August or something like that, that's really painful.
Because this is for both of you, like what do you think is the most important campaign promise for President Trump to deliver in this budget bill? Because obviously we hear about extending the 2017 tax cuts, but then also including the no tax on tips and those things. Like, is there room for those to not make it?
Yeah, I don't know that no tax. The other one that they're throwing out is no tax on Social Security.
Or overtime.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, come on. Those are nice wish list things, but ultimately,
how do you money that ends up being? I haven't I
can guarantee it's billions, maybe $1 trillion. If you're talking about no taxes on Social Security, that's a lot of money. There's a lot of retirees.
I meant more on tips and overtime.
Even that is an amazing amount of money that would just go away. And again, I'm a supporter of the 2017 tax cuts, and I want to see that extended. We'll ask Dave Spano about this as well when he joins us at 11:08 or 11:15. 11:15.
11:15.
Yeah. So I think there's
don't turn the channel. Just
not
keep
yet.
listening all 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially salute to service 11:35. I think there's opportunity here, but again, how are you paying for this stuff? And until they address that issue, you're not going to satisfy Americans. You're just going to make these promises and then stick them in there without any real way to fund that, exploding our deficits to the tune of, I don't know, $5 trillion or $4 trillion. Those are big numbers. Yeah, it's nuts.
Well, and the tax on tips is so fascinating to me just politically because when Trump introduces it, Democrats, Gwen Moore, are against it. Governor Evers put it in his state budget, and Republicans said, no, we're stripping it out. So, just to look at the raw politics of some of this, and it's really fascinating to watch that play out as
politics.
well.
One day we like it, one day we don't.
And then, and as Gwen Moore said in your interview, I read, was the fact that she was like, why aren't we talking about, if we're really talking about this group of servers in the service industry, why aren't we talking about minimum wage?
Yeah, she called it a gimmick. Yeah.
All right. So we got another half hour with Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12 in Milwaukee, host of Upfront, along with Jaron Jordan. All right. So after the break, UW, they're also part of this conversation, but at the federal level, when it comes to funding universities, and at the state level, we'll hear from UW System President Jay Rothman, a couple clips from him from Upfront, and lots more on the program today. We mentioned Dave Spano in our Salute to Service. Kristin's in studio as well. Always fun to hang out.
As opposed to...
Well, you were gone last week.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why I said it. All right, ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry. Preston, phone call diplomacy on ending the war in Ukraine. President Trump talking by phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. After that phone call, he is set to call Ukrainian President Zelensky. Russian authorities, meantime, have outlawed Amnesty International, calling the human rights organization an undesirable organization that would make association with the group a criminal offense. Sean Combs' longtime girlfriend Cassie Ventura has testified in his sex trafficking case. Now it's her friend and family's turn.
Cassie Ventura's mother, a former friend of Cassie Ventura's that she said Combs attacked with a wooden hanger, and an escort are all expected to testify perhaps as soon as today. If all of last week was about Cassie Ventura, the beginning of this week is going to be about trying to back her up and back up what she said in the eyes of the jury.
ABC's Aaron Katursky covering the trial. 28 people killed in the latest round of severe weather across the country. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. There's an advantage to being first, at least when it comes to announcing your campaign for governor in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin County Executive Josh Shulman is so far the only Republican to announce his run for the state's highest office, and he's also the person party activists are backing in the race. At the state's GOP annual convention, Shulman secured 38% of a straw poll vote, narrowly topping Congressman Tom Tiffany, who got 35%. Party also overwhelmingly favored Vice President J.D. Vance for the Republican presidential nomination. Governor Tony Evers has not announced whether he will seek a third term. 6 teenagers arrested after leading Wauwatosa police on a chase in a stolen car. Started just before 1 a.m. Sunday. Officers spotted a speeding car with no headlights and masked occupants near 62nd and State. Police tried to stop the car near 53rd, but the driver took off, crashing into another car at 35th and Villette. The other driver was left with minor injuries. Suspects, all between 16 and 18 years old, had serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Kohl's is trying to turn the page after firing its new CEO, Ashley Buchanan. Executives now admit to shareholders they missed the mark in both leadership and communicating decisions. Buchanan fired after making a business deal with his romantic partner's company, Incredibrew. Here's the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. Dow is down 67 points, 42,587. The Nasdaq is down 87 at 19,123. S&P 500 down 17 points at 5,941. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Just one disabled vehicle. It is off left, just blocking the shoulder, not a lane. This is going to be I-41 South at 894 South. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy today, high 52. Chance of rain late tonight with a low 45. Rainy and windy tomorrow with a high 50. Scattered showers possible on Wednesday with a high of 53. And Thursday, partly cloudy, high 55. Partly cloudy again Friday, high up to 57. 45 in Madison, 46 in Green Bay, 42 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:33.
With the trees budding and the flowers blooming, take a beautiful drive this week through the Kettle Moraine Forest for a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club. WTMJ's John Mercure here. It is the most unique and affordable dining destination in Wisconsin, and your second dinner's free. Order your favorite steak, seafood, the pan-fried walleye, a fresh salad, steak and lobster, even prime rib on Wednesdays. Any entree, your second dinner is free. Desserts, my favorite part of dinner, are also buy one, get one free. Unwind with a sweet old-fashioned, 20 bourbons, 100 wines. Celebrate a birthday, celebrate an anniversary, or just a quiet, free dinner with your sweetie at one of those 8 dining rooms. The Fox and Hounds, easy to get to, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of the Holy Hill Shrine. The spring drive is spectacular. It's coming to life. Fox and Hounds gift cards make perfect year-round gifts, as your second dinner is always free. Order online at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. Walk on in tonight for your free Fox and Hounds dinner.
When selecting a remodeling contractor, you want to work with someone who listens to you, communicates well, and is open-minded and innovative. I'm David Calley, owner and president of Dimension Design Build Remodel in Brookfield. My commitment to our clients is to provide the best solution for their projects. As an award-winning design-build firm specializing in remodeling and additions, we are committed to building healthy spaces that enhance your living environment. We are proud members of NARI and the MBA, and our certified professionals specialize in kitchen and bath remodeling and aging in place. Visit DimensionDBR.com to learn more about our remodeling process and to review completed project photos. Whether renovating your home or building an addition, Dimension Design Build Remodel is the right company for your project. Call 262-402-6602 or visit DimensionDBR.com.
Matt Smith, Channel 12 Political Director, joining Kristin, Brey, and Steve Scaffidi on the Monday edition of the Point Taken Show. Don't forget, if you miss any or all of our first half hour or any of the program, any of the interviews that we do, or in this big week's, our Salute to Service Week presented by Waterstone Bank, all available wherever you get your podcasts.
Or you could just text POINT to 855-616-1620, and we will send you a link to our show page, which has all the links to Apple and Spotify and all the podcast things.
Yes, all the podcast things. And I think old people, this is sort of unrelated to what we're going to talk about, but old people are starting to figure out the podcast, because people would say to me now that are my age or older, say, hey, I listen to the podcast. So they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it really isn't that hard to do.
No, once you get the link.
Yeah.
I would say once you get your phone takes you exactly where you need to go.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. And then you can always just go to WTMJ.com and literally find podcasts, and all of our podcasts, my many podcasts, because I do a lot of podcasts. You know
how many you
right?
got now?
I think I've had 5, and I think I'm in the 3 to 4 sweet spot right now.
Is that a sweet spot?
I'm going to roll back. It's too much workload. I mean, what am I doing? I'd be golfing more. Anyway, Matt Smith, Political Director, Channel 12. You had an interesting interview with UW System President Jay Rothman, or Jaron did, one of you two.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is fascinating to me because this touches both the federal budget issues and state level about the funding for really important stuff, layman's term when it comes to research, that happen at UW-Madison and other universities.
Well, the entire university system.
Yes.
Yeah, the entire UW budget is before state lawmakers, and Republicans have explicitly said that they're likely not going to give UW all the money they are requesting.
And they had requested $855 million. And so you had asked the question as far as what happens if you don't get it?
Does anything less than 855 result in tuition increases?
I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to draw that line. I'm going to remain optimistic that the state will make a sufficient investment in us. We have, there was a recent piece, I've talked a lot about 43rd out of 50. We are now 44 out of 50. We dropped another notch in the last survey that came out in terms of public support for our university system. It's time to turn that around.
So the reference there is for public funding.
Yeah.
And is that just for that stat? Is that just for state funding, or is that including the federal funding?
State funding.
So it's just state funding.
UW talks
That's
about.
pretty.
The
That's
UW
a
system
poor
is now
ranking.
44th out of 50.
Given the profile of our system, that seems pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the UW is arguing. Republicans will counter that in the budget process. But the question that Jay Rothman has been saying is, we get the $855 million for the next 2 years. We will not raise tuition. We will not be forced to close any other campuses that are not already currently scheduled to be closed. And the question is now, how much Republicans and in negotiation with the governor is that final number going to come to? And then you have all the uncertainty of the federal budget.
Kristin mentioned, shared a list of some of the organizations, companies that are endorsing, sort of a additional state funding to our state university.
There's a list of like 800 business leaders saying, like, we got to invest in our school system.
The biggest across the state: Packers, Brewers, Northwestern Mutual. I mean, Oshkosh Corporation.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these high-profile Fortune 500 companies here in the state are backing this, and UW is doing a good job of getting out in front of it at this point and really trying to sell this. I mean, they're on a sales pitch at this point, right, for this state funding.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the debate with on a much bigger scale, like what we had with the engineering building, right? There was the engineering building that all of these industry leaders across the state was like, we need to invest in engineering and getting the best students to come here, getting them to stay here. And there was such a fight to get the funding for that building. And it feels like we're in that, except like amplified.
It gives me an opportunity to say something I've been wanting to say for a while. If you're the one holdout in the state legislature, if you're the only person that disagrees with everybody else, you're wrong on any issue. It's like, what are you doing? And, my friend Robin Voss has been doing this. Devin Lemahue has done it. And I'm sure there's some Dems that have done it in the past. what are you doing? When everybody else understands the importance of it and you're the sole holdout, you're probably not right. You're wrong.
Thank you
for letting me say that.
Yes, but from the interviews you've done across the board, right? You've interviewed probably, at least out of the three of us, maybe not, I don't know, more than me. I'll say that. As far as knowing a lot of our lawmakers and getting to interview them in person, when it comes to kind of holdouts like that, how much of it is personal, where they stand on the issue, and how much of it is sometimes internal politics and infighting that happens?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be a combination of the two, depending on the situation, right? Like, I mean, there are obviously scenarios where people fully believe what they believe, in whether it be in terms of conservative spending or we're spending too much on this, we're spending too much on that. And then, there's also internal politics.
Because you hear rumors as far as like those two just don't like each other.
Yeah, and you know what? And that spills out. And if you look at leadership, no matter what chamber, no matter what party, they also have the pulse of their own internal caucus, right? And from a merely political standpoint, they're not going to advocate for something they know that they can't pass.
I know you asked him about the Trump administration, and do we have that clip that about a little bit of the reaction from Jay Rothman on how he approaches that issue?
How much do you want to push back?
I mean, I think we want to push back where we have a basis to do so and where we believe we can move the needle. So I think we want to be advocates for our students. This is not being anti-administration. We want to be advocates for our students. We want to be advocates for research. When you think about the research, the groundbreaking research that's happening at our universities that is directed toward Alzheimer's or cancer or diabetes or other forms of illness that plague our society, university research is going to lead the way on that. That's not going to be done commercially.
Interesting comments. I mean,
he's
doing his job.
And it is interesting as far as, I think you don't realize how much you want that research to be continuing until you have someone in your family facing one of these issues and wanting the developments for cancer and for Alzheimer's to keep pushing forward. And so when it hits personally, it's bigger than just students going to college. All right, when we come back, you had a chance to interview 2 Canadian mayors, which is an interesting conversation as far as the mayor-to-mayor friendship across country boundaries. So we'll talk about that with Matt Smith on the other side of this.
St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores has been voted the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel's Best in Thrift. So to all who voted for us, thank you. And to those who haven't yet been here, there are so many items to explore. And at thrift store prices, you can find a really great deal. At the same time, you'll be helping us help others, sometimes folks right in your own neighborhood. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Loyal Family Renovations. I'm actually going to see Jeff and Jake tonight. They helped me with a big problem. We had hail damage. Remember that big storm last May? Oak Creek, South Milwaukee, Franklin, all those areas, and they got some of that again last week. We had it bad. Jeff and Jake, the whole crew, absolute pros, made the entire process as smooth as possible. They worked with my insurance company. I was just talking to my friend John McCure about this. They get you the most value, and they handle all the questions, which we're not experts on insurance, but because let's be honest, that's not what we do every day. And they dealt with the adjuster for us, quick answers, top-notch customer service, and in just 2 days, I had a complete tear-off and a brand-new roof, all new metal. My roof was done, looks fantastic, still looks fantastic. They even picked up every loose nail that falls off the roof that maybe fell into the lawn. They got this magnet that does all that. I was so impressed, I told my neighborhood about it. If the storm damage hits, like we just saw last week in Wisconsin, call the team that made it easy for me, Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands.
Welcome to The Knowledge Brokers, a weekly feature covering the dynamics of the insurance market, how it affects Wisconsin businesses and residents. Sponsored by the original Knowledge Broker, R&R Insurance. Joining us today, Jeff Salasinski, Vice President of Insurance Operations. Jeff, let's talk about what's coming down the road. What issues you're paying attention to these days?
Sure, Vince. Thank you. Great to be here today.
While results were generally good for insurance companies last year, you've heard me talk about increasing costs in auto insurance, general liability insurance, and umbrella insurance.
Yeah, why is that? What do you think's going on there?
Legal system abuse is becoming more prominent here in the Midwest, and this is driving increased litigation and increased legal costs that come with more litigation.
Legal system abuse. What's that look like?
We see two factors driving much of this concern, Vince. Number one, incredible frequency and messaging of attorney advertising, promoting large verdicts, making these huge numbers seem more common than they actually are. And secondly, third-party litigation funding, which is outside capital, a private lender providing funds to plaintiffs and their law firms to pursue lawsuits. These third parties have no role in the actual case itself. They were not injured, they have money, and they're funding the litigation as an investment.
So, Jeff, why should a business or family work with R&R Insurance?
At R&R Insurance, we understand complex, dynamic issues like third-party litigation funding and how these issues impact businesses and families. We understand how to best protect your company assets or your personal assets, and R&R has been on top of issues like this on behalf of our clients for almost 50 years. If you're looking for a better insurance purchasing experience, we'd love to sit down and speak with you. At R&R Insurance, we know business insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
All right, it's the only mayor in the room.
What? Really?
Former in my case. Somebody asked me about that on Saturday. I think they were goofing around. Kristin, Steve, point taken, along with Matt Smith, outstanding political director and reporter at Channel 12 in Milwaukee, host of Upfront, one of the great programs. You can find out about all the things happening in politics in the state of Wisconsin. All right, so some Canadian mayors are in town, and you talk to some of these folks. What's on their mind?
Were they here just meeting with Mayor Johnson?
Yeah, so it's called the St. Lawrence Cities Initiative. So there were a bunch here, and I mean, there's a lot of water issues, right? When you look at the Great Lakes region and mayors from around the Great Lakes and mayors from around the Midwest. So they all gathered here in Milwaukee for a big conference. So they had a bunch of different topics, one of them of being U.S.-Canadian relations, and then a couple of them sat down with us, sat down with Jaron, and we were just curious, their thoughts on tariffs, and also President Trump saying, let's make Canada the 51st state.
Let's see what they had to say.
What do you make of the president calling for Canada to be the 51st state?
No. No. I love this country. I live right on the other side of the border from Buffalo. I travel over on a regular basis. Me and my kids come here. I genuinely love the United States of America, and I have zero interest in Canada becoming a part of it.
As the Prime Minister said, our country is not for sale. Citizens have been very clear in electing Mr. Carney as a Prime Minister. So I'm confident. I'm confident that in the next couple of months and years, we will continue building the relationship and convince President Trump that it is in our both countries' interests.
Or just act like grown-ups and not engage with stupidity, because that is a stupid idea. Canada's not going anywhere. They're a good company, a good country. They are our biggest trade partner.
I also just don't know if that would fare very well for the American Republican Party.
Probably not. It just seems dumb to me.
It's fascinating.
If that entire country was an entire state, because it would basically be the same size as California, right? They have about 40 million people.
Two more senators. Tons of
50-some representatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Jaron couldn't even basically finish the question before.
No.
I mean, it was,
That was Matthew Cisco, who's the mayor of St. Catharines in Ontario, and Catherine Valeris Roland, if you could tell from her accent, from Quebec.
But they didn't engage with stupidity. They just shot it down, which is the right answer to this question. So that's why we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about this, because it's a dumb idea.
Yeah, I mean, and their whole point was, listen, we need to build the relationships with the mayors, and that's why they were here, interesting. Which was, a super fascinating conversation. The fact that local mayors need to stay united at this point, they are saying. No matter what's happening at the federal level, we're going to all be united as mayors, no matter our political party, and work on some of these major issues affecting all of us.
Well, it kind of reminded me of in the first Trump administration, when he dropped out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and then Bloomberg was still mayor. And so as far as the commitment from different mayors saying, well, we're still on board. And so what you can still do at the local level. All right, let's take one more break. And when we come back, we will find out what Matt is covering this week in Wisconsin politics. Stay with us on Point Taken.
Well, there were high hopes for your young squad.
Maybe your baby birds weren't ready to leave the nest.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Jackson Chariot. Goes deep in Coors.
The Brewers host the Orioles for a 3-game set. This series is sponsored by Steinhoffel's Memorial Day Sale. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. I just had so many questions about the trip on Saturday at our WTMJ day at the ballpark, American Family Field. I'm visiting my 50th state. It's been my dream for a while. Going to come true November of 2026, so a year and a half from now. I'm inviting all of you to join me. We're about halfway sold out already, so don't wait. There's a significant early booking discount. We're going to do a 3-island tour. Oahu, Hawaii, of course, Maui. We have to visit Pearl Harbor, of course. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, a coffee plantation in Kona. Luau, have to do it when you go to Hawaii. We'll visit the Maui Aquatic Center. It's an active itinerary, but we built in free days. We listened to what the listeners and fans want to do. So there's days we can just do whatever you want. You can hang out at the pool, go surfing, whatever you want to do. You can go do some excursions that aren't part of our tour group's experience. And I'm going to mark this trip in a special way. I'm getting a tattoo. My buddy Ken, I saw him Saturday, goes, "You're not getting a tattoo." I said, "Yes, I am." And I'm actually accepting tattoo ideas. So if you have a clever one for my 50th state, which I'll be commemorating, here's what you got to do. Sign up today. Don't wait. It will sell out. FoxWorldTravel.com. Best of Hawaii with yours truly, or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. We're going to have a blast. It'll be amazing. We're actually going to do a pre-trip sort of gathering somewhere in Milwaukee to kind of meet each other and celebrate all this great stuff. That's my trip. Join us.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, reminding you to double-check your home. Siding Unlimited is the proven exteriors professionals for 31 years. Family-owned and locally operated right here in Wisconsin. Call Siding Unlimited and visit sidingunlimited.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristin Brey with Steve Scaffidi and Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12, host of Upfront. What do you guys got coming up this week?
Well, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with this big, beautiful bill in the House as it works its way through. There's been some threats to lawmakers to cancel your Memorial Day plans if this doesn't get passed. So it'll be curious to see how lawmakers and how our delegation kind of responds with the threat of vacation on the line.
Do you think we'll get more videos of representatives falling asleep in the middle of the night while they're still in session?
Probably.
There's a 1 a.m. Hearing scheduled, so another markup, yeah.
Okay.
I know enough lawmakers on both the House and on the Senate side that they hate when their vacation time or their home time is interrupted by this stuff. So,
there's no incentive like a vacation.
Yeah, they want to get their what's back to their home states and their
families
and their families in their beds. So they'll come up with something. Texter has a funny thing. I should get "When I Was Mayor" tattooed on my shoulder. That has nothing to do with Hawaii though, so that's a bad text. All right, completely fun one here.
Yeah.
So we got, as part of a package of going to the Brewers game on Saturday night, which boy, the Brewers, they Sucked big time.
Wasn't great.
Thankfully, they won yesterday. We got a cribbage board, really cool cribbage board. How much would you? These things are going for like $75.
I think they were like $100 on Facebook Marketplace.
Listen, I know some friends who were at the game, and they told me as they were leaving, like outside the gates, there were literally people there standing saying, "I'll give you $120 for your cribbage board." As people were walking out, these are the hottest ticket in town.
Yeah.
What? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really happy that I got one, but what? Why?
I don't see it. I mean, it's a nice.
I mean, they're cool. It has all the sausages on there. It has 620 and the Brewers logo on there. And it's nice because it opens up and you can keep a deck of cards in there with the pegs. But I don't know. But yeah, my friend, one of my girlfriend's like group chats this morning, one of them got one. She goes, "I don't need it. So if any of you want it, you can have it. But you have to promise me you're not going to sell it because I would just sell it.
Yeah.
If you're going to sell it. So if you actually have a use for it, pinky promise, and I'll give it to you."
I'm going to come up with some clever idea to give it away or something because I unless one of my
Do you play cribbage?
No. I'm a sheep's head guy.
Oh.
Love that game. I love to cheat at that game, especially. Table talk.
Bold thing to announce on the radio.
Well, table talk. Those people who play sheep's head know there's an art to that. You can sort of subtly tell people what
like winking involved?
No, just the way you phrase things. You use different words. It's a whole different. Sheep's head's an amazing game.
It's like 40 chess.
40. I am the worst chess player. I play online. I used to play online when I traveled a lot. I could never get past like beginner status. I just don't. My brain's not wired to play chess.
I'm not a chess player. Are you a chess player?
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. What does that say about us?
I don't know.
It's not the most flattering portrayal, is it? She's Kristin. I'm Steve. Matt Smith. You're off next Monday because we're all off.
Well, he's
Happy
working.
Memorial
We're
Day.
off because it's Memorial Day.
Poor guy's got to work at Channel 12.
So we'll see. We'll have double the things to talk about.
Plenty to talk about in 2 weeks.
2 weeks
As
from
they
now.
say in the commercial, double the pleasure, double the fun. She's Kristin. I'm Steve. Hour 2. You know what I'm talking about? It's a gum commercial.
Yeah, it's a gum commercial with the twins.
All right. Lots more to come. We'll do it after the news.
We didn't write the headline, the Wall Street Journal did. The days of set and forget investing just ended for many Americans. Economic uncertainty and global unrest. It's a wake-up call. Standard financial advice is to avoid making rash decisions during market turmoil. But retirement planning isn't a set it and forget it process anymore. That's where Annex Wealth Management comes in. As fee-only fiduciaries, we craft personalized plans that adapt as needed. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Head to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Discover an unreal treasure this May at Potawatomi. Don't miss your chance to win a share of $300,000 in cash and prizes. Just play with your rewards card for entries. Prize drawings on Thursdays. Unreal treasures this May at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Your win is waiting. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
So he said to me, "Boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders." And I said, "You betcha." And he said, "Do you mind if I cherry pick?" And I said, "Feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want." Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanna Go.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Birds flying high, you know.
No. You just entered the no-fly zone.
They'll throw to second. The runner is out! Oh! Contreras! That's another one right on the bag. Perfection.
Tune into our game day coverage starting tonight at 6:05. The Brewers host the Orioles at AmFam Field. This series is sponsored by Steinhoffel's Memorial Day Sale. We are the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11 o'clock, we have 42 degrees. Mostly cloudy, breezy today. High today of only 52. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. The White House says it expects Republicans will back the budget bill that would expand the 2017 tax cuts and enact many of the president's energy and border priorities. The so-called Big Beautiful Bill cleared the House Budget Committee last night, with GOP opponents biting their tongues and abstaining. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
The 4 Republicans on the House Budget Committee who voted present are conservatives who complain the measure doesn't claw back enough climate subsidies and sets new Medicaid work requirements too far into the future. House Speaker Mike Johnson vows to continue tweaking the bill. He'll also need to do more to win the support of moderates who want a full restoration of the state and local tax deduction. Johnson hopes the House will pass the bill by the end of the week.
President Trump with a message to big business over the weekend, telling Walmart he'll be watching to see if it raises prices due to his tariffs. This after the retail company said it would have to raise prices because of the trade war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today says Trump believes China will also eat the import duties.
The president is committed to ensuring that prices remain low for American consumers, and he maintains the position that foreign countries will absorb these tariffs.
Kohl's trying to turn the page after firing its new CEO, Ashley Buchanan. Executives now admit to shareholders they missed the mark in both leadership and communicating decisions. Editor-in-chief of the Milwaukee Business Journal, Timothy Gibbons, tells WTMJ what Kohl's is doing in the meantime.
So they do have an interim CEO, their former chair of the board, who will be leading the charge, at least for the interim. So it will be interesting to see what he does in terms of a strategy. But the big question is, how quickly can they get somebody in, and who will that person be?
Buchanan was fired after making a business deal with his romantic partner's company, Incredibrew. Reality star Dawn Richard back on the stand in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City. Richard said on Friday she once saw Combs attack ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura with a skillet of eggs. Came after Ventura testified for 4 days that Diddy raped her and forced her to take part in drug-fueled sex parties with baby oil and escorts. School bus driver in Pewaukee charged with sexual misconduct. 62-year-old Thomas Felser faces 1 count of repeated sexual assault of a child, 3 counts of sexual misconduct by a school staff or volunteer. He's accused of grooming a 6-year-old student by giving her candy, touching her inappropriately. Waukesha County Assistant District Attorney Vivian Morris says the child's mother found Felser alone with her daughter.
The mother had become concerned when she checked a GPS app and saw that the school bus had not moved for about 10 minutes.
Surveillance footage shows Felser repeatedly sitting with the girl over 8 months. He previously worked in the Pewaukee School District for over 3 decades as a teacher. He's being held on $350,000 cash bond. An hours-long standoff ends peacefully on Milwaukee's near west side. Milwaukee Police, Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies, and South Milwaukee Police confronting 3 suspects wanted in a burglary in South Milwaukee ended up involved in a nearly 4-hour standoff. Ultimately, the 3 suspects, a 27-year-old woman and 2 men ages 36 and 44 were arrested. Formal burglary charges will be referred to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office this week. Group of teenagers recovering from injuries after a high-speed chase in Wauwatosa.
6 teens are in custody after a Wauwatosa police chase ended in a car crash early Sunday morning on Milwaukee's west side. Officers first spotted a speeding car with no headlights near 62nd and State. When they tried to pull the car over, the driver took off, leading police through Milwaukee before crashing into another vehicle at 35th and Villette. The teens, ages 16 to 18, were arrested and treated for serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the car was stolen and charges are pending. Nazir Spencer, WTMJ News.
SpaceX has the green light from the Federal Aviation Administration for up to 25 rocket launches a year from its South Texas base. The company was previously licensed to complete only 5 launches annually. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow down 18 points, the Nasdaq down 74, and the S&P 500 is off a dozen points. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for QC Kinetics. For more than 8 years, QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. You heard that right. Non-surgical relief. More than 50,000 patients who had knee pain, back pain, now living pain-free. Those with shoulder and hip pain, it's gone. The regenerative cell therapy restores tissues in your achy joints. Dr. Caravelli's team uses biologic growth factors with robust healing properties carefully and strategically placed in your joint. And there's no surgery. Remember that. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life, repairing the old tissue. Here's what you do. You call today, 414-285-3474, 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation. 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today.
I'm David Calley, owner and president of Dimension Design Build Remodel. In addition to renovating homes and building additions, we construct high-quality, elegant homes designed to exceed our clients' expectations. Our commitment is building homes using healthy materials, products, and construction methods. Known as the builder of Wisconsin's healthiest home, our award-winning team, which includes certified construction professionals, is dedicated to building homes that fulfill our clients' needs. We are active MBA and NARI members, committed to adhering to a new construction process that offers the best solution. Visit DimensionDBR.com to learn more about our new construction process and to review our photo gallery. When looking to build a high-quality, beautiful, and healthy home, Dimension Design Build Remodel is the company to choose. Call 262-402-6602 or visit DimensionDBR.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Jackson Churio's home run robbery highlighted the Brewers' 5-2 win over the Twins. Churio's catch prevented a game-tying 2-run home run off the bat of Royce Lewis in the 8th inning. Brewers continue their homestand tonight against the Orioles. Milwaukee 13-14 against American League opponents this season. And Scotty Scheffler's a major champion once again, winning the PGA Championship after finishing atop the leaderboard at 11 under par, the third major championship in Scheffler's career. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-41 north, about a mile and a quarter beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Left lane there is blocked due to some repairs, so there might be some slowing in that area. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy today, 52 for the high. Chance of rain later on tonight, low 45. Rainy, windy tomorrow, high of 50. Just scattered showers on Wednesday, up to 53. And then partly cloudy Thursday and Friday with highs both days in the mid to upper 50s. 46 in Madison and Green Bay, 43 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Welcome back to the 11 o'clock hour of Point Taken. How do you know if it's the difference between a cold and allergies? You gotta turn your mic on.
Your history. We're kind of doing something in the studio here. The history, I guess you should know.
I haven't typically had allergies, but
it's probably just a cold.
Do I sound sick?
There's like little something
little bit.
in your
It's
voice,
like you sound on that one commercial.
Yeah, I was sick. I was sick that time. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is kind of old news at this point, and we did not have time to put it in our packed lineup with Joe and Bill on Friday, but it's. And when you read a little bit more about it, I guess it's just a little tone deaf and not actually malicious. But would you accept this certificate of naturalization, Steve?
Well, this idea that we're going to have a reality show to awards a contestant on the show with like a certificate
with
of
citizenship.
Yeah.
So it's basically this broke news, I think, around Wednesday or Thursday last week. And, it sounds like a dystopian Bachelor parody or any reality show contest parody. But in fact, it's a pitch for a reality TV show that the producer who's behind Duck Dynasty and The Millionaire Matchmaker, he's been pitching this since Obama has been in office. So this is not just something that is pitched because of the current administration, but it's basically having different immigrants who are in waiting or going through the process, trying to become a citizen, go through a great race type contest to become a citizen. And for the first time, I mean, he's been pitching it for a while. His name's Rob Warsoff. But the first time anyone's actually been receptive to this is Kristin.
Surprise there. Look, I said before, I don't want to engage with stupidities, but I know this is on some people's minds. Somebody asked me about it on email over the weekend. It's just stupid. Why would you dumb down something that should be sacred and an honor and make a stupid game show, reality show out of it?
Well, it's also, it's like, oh, let's make a game show out of people who are will only live if they get an organ transplant. And so have them all compete against each other in order to be number one on the list for that organ.
The Oregon version of the Hunger Games.
Yeah. And like, it reminded me a little bit of like, how could you do this where there's a little bit more, it is more uplifting, or it does provide more empathy, and because that's often what TV shows and art enables us to do, right? See a story, see an experience that we may never have access to, but see it through the lens of someone else. And the only way I feel like you could do this, and it shouldn't be a contest. It shouldn't be like, well, there's only one winner and the rest of you, like, good luck. But some kind of reality show that does show the experience of undocumented immigrants. Because like when we talked about it, Bill and I wouldn't say we got into it, but when I asked him on Friday, as far as his experience with anyone in his life who is undocumented, he said no. And I think that's probably a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And so understanding more of, understanding the immigrant experience, I think, could be interesting, but not in a contest scenario.
Well, one of the things that I was involved in a couple of years ago was a documentary where Giannis Antetokounmpo was the executive producer, and I was
for the American flag, for the
Eater flag.
Yes,
and I was part of that. That tells the story of people that are here trying to go through that process, but also being productive members of society.
Yeah.
And Eater Flag is a fantastic company. My friend Jody Golio runs that company, and they do a great job.
Wasn't there talks about that, because it was a short documentary?
Yes.
Wasn't there talks about that getting made into a musical?
I didn't hear that part of it.
Because I interviewed the director, and she said they were in talks, and this has been a couple years now, and I'm sure it's not easy to develop a musical, but... we got
to get to break, because we've got Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management coming. I don't like stupidity, and when I see things like this that are sort of making fun of like I said, a very sacred process, an honor to be a citizen of the United States, a treasured right, and you're gonna dumb it down and make fun of people.
Because you hate reality shows.
The reality shows... This is the serious part of this. I think they've made us dumber as a society and a culture, and I'll hang my hat on that one. I just don't like them.
Should we finally do that for You Need to Listen this week?
Maybe.
All right.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
We've been teasing it for a while, so maybe we should finally just get into it.
After the break, Mr. Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management. Lots to talk about with the president of Annex Wealth Management. He's their president. I think he's CEO.
CEO and president, isn't he?
One's changed. We'll get it. We'll
ask him. It's your first question out of the gate.
I know he's got one of those titles. There's so many great people, smart people working in there. They should all be president and CEO, but they would not like that one. All right. Kristin, Steve, point taken. Quick break.
We know for small business advertisers, every dollar counts. And that's why you hear our advertisers over and over on this station, as well as every other Milwaukee radio station. Because the power of repetition is real. Go to the Our Clients page of Anderson-Smith.com and see just how many you're familiar with. And check out their real advertising success stories. You'll learn why our clients stay with us for years and years. Anderson-Smith.com. We help small business advertisers get better results. We know you work hard to make your small business the best it can be. And we understand you deserve to have your advertising work as hard as you do. That's why we focus on only the most efficient ways to assure your ad message makes the most impact it possibly can. With millions of dollars in annual billing and dozens of satisfied clients, Anderson Smith has the leverage and know-how to amplify your advertising. Go to Anderson-Smith.com, email me, and I'll call you in short order, because it's time we grow your business.
This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi. The time has come to honor those in public safety that have made an impact in our lives and in our communities. Join me and Kristin Brey every day this week on Point Taken as we recognize and speak with the police, firefighters, and other first responders who go above and beyond, demonstrating courage and bravery in the line of duty, making all of us safer and our communities stronger. That's every day this week on Steve Scaffidi Salute to Service on WTMJ. As always, presented by Waterstone Bank.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin.
For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee, Waukesha, Fort Atkinson, and Jefferson. Griffin, the buck stops here. The deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
Oh, when you hear the music, you know what's coming next. Mr. Davis. Dave, is it president or CEO? I know you both have both titles. CEO now.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
so Jeff Pierce, our new president,
Yes.
Chief Operating Officer. Yes, sir.
All right. So a lot of things to talk about, but I think you and I have talked about tariffs before. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. And now sort of the latest is the Walmart question. I'll put it that way, where they said they were going to sort of push some of that cost on. Well, their CEO said that over the weekend that maybe they would eat some of the tariffs just as they did in earlier years, 18, 19, and 20 to be specific. But some of it might get passed on. On that subject of tariffs and the impact on consumers, is Walmart an outlier, or are they sort of in the pack of other countries, in other companies rather, that are sort of saying, all right, we got to see how this plays out?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So when we were talking about the fact that tariffs were inflationary, full stop, period, that was myopic. And the reason why is so now you show up from this product shows up from wherever, China, and there is a markup. The company has a choice, and either they can pay it themselves and not pass it on, they can pay none of it and pass it all on, or they can pay part of it, right? And everything is on a continuum. And so in Walmart's example, they said they're going to pass on some of it. So it's slightly inflationary, but it just can't be a binary decision that because there are tariffs that prices are going to go up dollar for dollar, because that's just not true. And so you look at it and go, all right, what's Walmart doing? Walmart is probably going to do, and you have to understand who their customer is. It's much more retail than, an airliner, for example. And so you have to look at that information and say, are they going to pass it on, and who's going to pay it? Is it going to be the end customer? Is it, if it's Boeing, for example, and they bring in a part, who is the end customer and who's going to pay it? I just thought it was a really myopic argument by everybody who said, oh, it's going to be inflationary dollar for dollar. It's just, that does not take in context.
Well, is that also because as of right now, they've come a lot further back down? I mean, at one point, wasn't it 145%? And I'm assuming most companies were not going to be able to eat that high of tariffs. And now that they're back down, do you think there's a little bit more of a compromise that can be made?
Yeah, there's no question. And you'll remember, Kristin, I had said all along that he's negotiating, right? And so you ask for more than what you're going to get. That's just 101 stuff. And so the fact is that this 10% is, I think that 10% staying in place. That was the first bucket, right? And then the second bucket was the country tariff and the variable tariffs. And that's where you're starting to see some advances in these conversations. Now, we still have to hear from the rest of the countries. It's still a framework. We still haven't got to the real depth of the details. But right now, that 10% is going to stay in place. So that is going to put pressure on prices in general. Does it get whitewashed in a number of ways? One of those would be a tax bill, for example. Does the tax bill offset or sterilize some of the tariffs? That's a conversation to be had. And you saw what happened last weekend is the Republicans kicked back on that bill. And so if it gets, I do think it's going to happen in one form or fashion. It's just how much does it sterilize the tariffs? We're going to have to wait and see.
Dave, when we've talked about market performance before, we've certainly talked about reaching new heights. We've seen that. You hit 40,000, as you said the market would do last year. When you look at the sort of the uncertain period, Liberation Day and beyond, the market's dropped a pretty significant amount. Now they're sort of coming back. Now S&P's, I think, is either over where it's been at the start of the administration or right around where they were. What do you make of the temperature in the room right now when it comes to investing, and probably more importantly for you and me, those of us who are invested in the market and have financial planners to sort of guide our way?
Yeah, I think the best thing is you should thank your financial planners, folks out there, because really, I mean, this has been a historic return. And, there you could not get away from all of the negativity that was out there when the markets were down 19%, is that the world was going to heck in a handbasket. But it's recovered all of that in a very short amount of time. And now that story is simmering. To your question, it is, are we an overbought place? Probably. Anytime that you have that type of recovery in that short of amount, you probably get to overbought. But that certainly doesn't say, go ahead and sell and take profits. Just as I said when the thing was down 19%, is not, now don't sell and run for the hills, because you will miss out on the recovery. So it probably isn't overbought. It probably has to digest it. Earnings season is over right now. We don't have a tax bill. So there's still some uncertainty, and so we're probably going to have volatility until we start to see the next earnings season start, which is actually in July. So I would not be surprised if we bounce around in June.
Dave, I saw a clip over the weekend of Scott Galloway, who's professor of business at NYU and fairly prolific podcaster. I feel like he's always doing media. But he had talked about diversifying your investments, not so much just in America, but by truly diversifying into other countries and companies in other countries. Are you following a similar pattern as far as looking at what other countries are doing right now and investing there as well?
Yep. So if you take a basic split, so let's assume you went through the process, Kristin, and we found because of your age, you're a 70-30 investor, right? 30% fixed income, 70% in equity. Of that 70%, a large portion, maybe 30 or 40% of that, should be allocated to some international investments. Now, there's a bit of a little, again, context, and there's a little bit of a trick there. If it is a United States company that sells abroad and they get most of their revenue from overseas, that's something that you can look at. But yes, obviously having international investments in your portfolio is part of that. Of course, where it is matters, and what you buy matters. What kind of companies? Are they tech companies? Are they airlines? What are you looking at? But yes, having international exposure is good. Now, you look at what's happening with the dollar. You look at, for example, China. The big conversation is China going to devalue their currency because of what's happening with their economy? That's an issue, and we're going to have to watch that. Now, you saw the big story over the weekend was the Moody's downgrade.
That's what I was going to ask you when we come back from break.
Yeah, go out. Okay, we can stop in that. But the fact is, other currencies are a big deal. What's happening with Europe right now matters. They are cutting interest rates. They've cut it 8 times and likely to cut more.
Got it. He joins us every Monday. Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management. We will talk about that downgrade after this.
The leader in the dugout, the skipper, the man who riles up the crew with his words of inspiration.
You mean my old ass? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that's our guy. Brewers manager Pat Murphy joins Wisconsin's Morning News every Tuesday at 8:45 for Brewers 360.
We're a team that the other team's going to feel us. You're not going to walk away from a series and not be felt. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Advent. Snoring, tossing, and turning, restless nights of sleep sound familiar? Well, I used to have that. I kept my poor wife Kathy up at night. She suffered as a result, but I did something about it. I went to Advent. I was a customer first before I was ever a spokesperson. 30-minute visit. Talked to their docs. They put me at ease. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. And they figured out my problem. Now, everybody's different problems, different solutions. For me, it was sinuses and nasal passage in my breathing triangle. After a short procedure, breathing better than ever, and that's still the case 5 years later. Sleeping through the whole night, I can't tell you how valuable that is, and to wake up rested and refreshed is worth the price of admission, trust me. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com, schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Flimsy, feeble, flaccid. That's how you can describe most pre-approval letters these days, because most banks still issue pre-approval letters without actually verifying your income, employment, or down payment. That's the exact opposite of an AccuNet rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval, where we put a $2,000 guarantee behind the fact the seller can actually rely on the terms of your pre-approval and offer. With AccuNet, there's also a possibility of issuing a property-specific pre-approval with as little as a 10% down payment that includes the magic word
words, no appraisal required. That's right. Accunet may be able to issue your pre-approval without needing an appraisal. That's the kind of certainty that can help a seller say yes to your offer. Sure, you can try competing with a flimsy bank pre-approval, or you can click on the blue button at Accunet.com and get started with the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as the best in the business. That's ACCUNET.com.
Maybe you don't need a new garage door. You just need to keep the door you love looking good and functioning well. Vince Vitrano for Lifetime Door Company, where they're always available to service your existing door. In the meantime, some tips from Rick Burr at Lifetime. Do not use a pressure washer on that door. It can damage the finish and paint. Do not remove parts for cleaning. Leave that to the experts. Do use a silicone-based lubricant 4 times a year. And if you need a can, stop by the showroom at 124th and Burleigh. Tell them Vinny sent you, and they'll give you one for free. LifetimeDoor.net.
All right, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, Dave Spano, joins us, as he does every Mondays here on the Point Taken Show with Kristin and Steve. All right, so this downgrade, Dave, what does this mean? And we've talked a lot about deficits, and certainly the budget, federal budget's item number one on the conversation about politics. What does this mean exactly?
Rating agency, they're one of the biggest in the world. And, the Treasury is often considered the world's safest investment. And so they took it from a AAA down to a AA rated. It's still AA rated, but that's not a great thing. Now, we do look at it, and this is not news to us. To us, the big arbiter is the market and not these rating agencies. One, because you can look at Treasury rates, and that is a current market of what they think that rates should be. That's number one. Number two, this is a lagging indicator. It's not a leading indicator. So they're looking backwards and saying, what are the deficits and debts of a particular country? And in our case, right, we had a substantial amount of deficit spending over the last number of years, as much as 7% more than we were taking in. That is a crazy number. So just as a primer for everyone listening, if you spend more than you take in, that's a deficit. You take that deficit, that shortfall, and you lop it on top of your debt. And so our debt now, $37 trillion and growing. Why that's an issue is you have to pay interest on the debt. And that interest that you pay on the debt crowds out some other expenses. And so you go, well, we want to spend on health care, we want to spend on education and transportation. When you spend so much on interest, that crowds those other spendings out. And that's the reason why it's a concern. But you heard Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying over the weekend, it's a lagging indicator, and they're trying to address the deficit spending. But that is something that you saw a kickback in the Congress over the weekend, that they didn't think there was enough deficit spending, and we'll have to see where it comes from.
But does anything functionally change besides just the rating? Like, does it change our interest rates or anything like that, or is it just a label?
Yes, no, it is. The market will react to that in saying you have to pay, because you're not rated as high, then you have to pay more in interest. And that's the reason why junk bonds are also high yield bonds. So the lower the rating, the more the investor wants to get paid. And so you get a higher rate of interest if you were buying for, I'm not comparing the treasuries to junk bonds. I'm using it as an anecdotal example to say the lower the rating quality, the higher interest rates. And so, yeah, interest rates may stay higher because of that if the market thinks they need to be paid at a higher rate because it's a slightly higher risk. And so, we'll have to watch. And the way to watch that are these auctions that come out all of the time. How does the market react to the auction? Does China or Europe or the rest of these countries, do they stop buying some of our treasuries because they think we're a different risk pattern? That is something to look at. And who begins to buy these treasuries in these auctions? We saw Janet Yellen over the last number of years issue a lot of 2-year debt because she thought that rates were going to come down. That's not happening right now. So all of this debt is going to have to come due in the next 2 or 3 years and get rewritten at whatever the current interest rates are.
Got it. All right, well, we only have about a minute left, but I wanted, because this Thursday, some of the top holders of the Trump token are going to have a private dinner. And I guess maybe you've talked about it with Steve.
What time you going?
I know, right? But I guess as we now have a president who's embraced crypto and meme coins, like, what is your thought as a investment professional on where people should be thinking when it comes to these different meme coins.
So it's been hard because the SEC did not allow it as a tradable security for a long time. So as an SEC registrant, was what we are, for us to recommend that because it was outside the scope of the SEC. So, but you can buy them now through exchange-traded funds and the rest. And you can see that if you look at these coins as a proxy for gold, then it should do well because gold continues to do well. Bitcoin over $105,000 per share. And so if you own some of that stuff, Kristin, you have made some money. It just was outside our scope in the past. Yep.
All right, Dave Spano, CEO, Annex Wealth Management. Thank you, Dave.
You bet. You guys enjoy the week.
All right, coming up after the bottom of the hour news, which is 11:30 for you. Youngsters, salute to service presented by Waterstone Bank. Got a great story today. Waukesha is where the officer is from. Leslie nominated him. We'll get that story. And it involves a canine as well. All coming up. Local news with Connie Weber. Before we get to any of that, here's the latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In California, the investigation continues into the car bombing outside a fertility clinic in Palm Springs. In online writings of the identified suspect, Guy Barkas, he writes he believed the world should not be populated. Federal authorities calling it an act of terrorism. ABC's Jacqueline Lee is in Palm Springs.
Authorities confirm the suspect tried to live stream the explosion. Officials executed a search warrant at his home in the city of 29 Palms. The investigation is ongoing.
President Trump holding a call with Russia's president on ending the war in Ukraine. Earlier, the president spoke with Ukraine's President Zelensky. The White House says President Trump has grown weary and frustrated with both sides over not being able to agree to a ceasefire. The United Nations says the first aid shipments into Gaza have now resumed following nearly 3 months of a full blockade imposed by Israel. Israeli forces in charge of coordinating that aid say 5 trucks carrying aid and baby food entered the territory. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. A man is dead, another in custody following a shooting in Glendale. Police say it happened Sunday evening near Iroquois Avenue in West Richter. The victim is 31-year-old man, the suspect 34 years old. Police say they believe the shooting was an isolated incident. Gun violence takes 1 life and injures 7 others across Milwaukee over the weekend. 4 of the shootings were Saturday afternoon and evening, another 4 after midnight. A 34-year-old was shot and killed near 31st and Burleigh. MPD searching for suspects in all 8 shootings. Washington County Executive Josh Shulman is so far the only Republican to announce his run for the state's highest office, governor. He's also the person party activists are backing in the race. At the state GOP's annual convention, Shulman secured 38% of a straw poll vote, narrowly topping Congressman Tom Tiffany, who got 35%. The party also overwhelmingly favored Vice President J.D. Vance for the Republican presidential nomination. Governor Tony Evers has not announced whether he will seek a 3rd term. Time for some news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 69 points at 42,724. The Nasdaq is down 52 at 19,158. The S&P 500 is down 6 points at 5,951. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at your roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Just one incident to report. It is blocking a left lane. There is some repair work happening. I-43 North, about 1.25 miles beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Again, left lane there blocked due to that construction. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy today, high 52. Chance of rain late tonight with a low 45. Rainy, windy tomorrow, high 50. Scattered showers and breezy on Wednesday with a high 53. Then Thursday and Friday, we have partly cloudy skies both days. High Thursday, 55, up to 57 on Friday. Madison, 46. Green Bay, 46. And Milwaukee, 43 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:33.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for QC Kinetics. For more than 8 years, QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. You heard that right. Non-surgical relief. More than 50,000 patients who had knee pain, back pain, now living pain-free. Those with shoulder and hip pain, it's gone. The regenerative cell therapy restores tissues in your achy joints. Dr. Caravelli's team uses biologic growth factors with robust healing properties carefully and strategically placed in your joint. and there's no surgery. Remember that. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life, repairing the old tissue. Here's what you do. You call today, 414-285-3474, 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation. 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today.
Here's to experiencing it all this summer in Wisconsin. Every deliciously cheesy, rockin', magical, fireworks-filled, festival-loving moment. There's Cheese Curd Fest in Ellsworth, Strawberry Fest in Cedarburg, Festival of the Arts in Stevens Point, and the Renaissance Fair in Bristol, Honor the Earth Powwow in Hayward, Mile of Music in Appleton, Venetian Fest, Bratfest, Summerfest. So many fests for your whole crew. Find them all at travelwisconsin.com.
There's nothing out there close to this.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi, and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handled all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service. In just 2 days, my roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com.
Hearing the stories and recognizing the heroes in our lives that continue to make a difference. This is Steve Scaffidi's Salute to Service, presented by Waterstone Bank. Here's Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Always look forward to this week on the program, and now I have Kristin alongside. Kristin Brey, my teammate, partner, and co-host of the program, Point Taken. These are always great stories to tell because they're all different, and we have a couple life-saving stories today, and our guest and our honoree today also has that experience in his law enforcement career. And there's always great nominators, and I will say this about Leslie, who is our nominator, Leslie Frederick, who reached out through our nomination process. Enthusiasm is something that she is known for. And she just, you were so communicative with me that I appreciate that because it's always it's sort of a scramble to find the right stories. And this is just a great story. Also joining us is our honoree. I don't want to make you like second fiddle here, but Waukesha Police Officer Dan Reese, who also has a great partner in your line of duty. And that partner is?
Canine Lambo.
Yeah, which is a fantastic name. Everybody that hears that goes, that is awesome.
But spelled.
Spelled differently.
It's spelled Lambo, but after Lambeau Field.
So what we're going to do is we're going to obviously ask you some questions and celebrate your achievements in law enforcement, public safety as a first responder. But we'll start with Leslie a little bit. I would describe you guys as lifelong friends.
Yes, that is correct.
And I guess I would just ask you as the nominator, why Officer Reese?
I've known Dan.
You can call him Danny. He doesn't care.
Well, he does to a point.
Oh, he
Can
does.
we call you Danny?
Usually anyone that knew me before high school.
But he was like a little brother to me. Just watching him achieve what he wanted to achieve. And when he got Lambo, just seeing his career take off even more and doing what he loves, just handling dogs, made me want to nominate him.
As a person, describe Officer Reese.
That's a hard one.
The good stuff.
Okay, the good stuff.
It's probably all good.
I don't know. He's there. He's a person. If you need to talk to him, he'll be there for you. If you need help, he'll be there. He always is trying to put a smile on your face. Like, he was always the class clown, always trying to make my parents laugh. It was never a dull moment in life.
And one of the things that I always do a write-up that will accompany all the audio from this interview is you've received numerous citations and awards, including, by the way, and this goes back a few years, and I didn't even think you were a first responder that long, 2015 Life-Saving Award for administering CPR and chest compressions on a person who was unconscious and non-breathing. And the cool part about this story is, besides the recognition from your chief at the time, hospital staff highlighted his quick and decisive decision-making in saving the individual's life. If that's not the definition of a first responder, I don't know what is. That is incredible.
And so, I guess, are we going to play the feature first?
Let's do the feature.
Okay.
So we'll play the feature producer Jazz put together. We always interview our candidates and our honorees and our nominators ahead of time. So we crafted a little feature for you. Then we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and have some more questions for both of you on Salute to Service.
I'm Leslie Frederick. I nominated Dan Reese for Salute to Service.
Hi, I'm Dan Reese. I work for the City of Waukesha Police Department.
He got an award for Rookie of the Year for police officer.
I've been with the Waukesha Police Department 12 years at the end of this month.
I've known Dan for many, many years. Seen him growing up. Heard him wanting to be a cop and everything. Once he got to be a cop, he always wanted to handle canines. And then when he had the opportunity to handle canines, he went for it and got approved for it.
Lambo is the dog in question.
He's gorgeous.
I got paired up with Lambo 1 year ago. Right now, he's still under a year into his career, so I'd equate that to like a new officer out on the road. We graduated from handler school together. He was about 5 weeks into his career. When he's out of the car, he's looking up at me, and it's pretty incredible knowing he's always got my back. He's with me all the time, whether he likes it or not.
He's done a lot of work. Like, he's really good at his job. He doesn't like people, from what I understand, but
He likes his officer.
He loves his officer.
Lots of people have pets. The day-to-day maintenance isn't anything I'm not used to. It's more so the extra liability that this dog is trained to apprehend people, and teaching him the difference between work and home. That's been one of the bigger stressors in our life. Got deployed to a barricaded subject in Waukesha. Subject was wielding a machete and holding his roommate hostage. He ended up barricading himself in a garage, and after the tactical unit tried anything and everything to get him to peacefully comply, they utilized tear gas, flashbangs, things of those natures. We were able to see on a drone footage that he put the machete down, and we decided to deploy Lambo into the garage, and he actually apprehended the guy.
Who's calmer in these situations, you or Lambo?
I'd like to think me, but I'm going to say Lambo. This week has not been a good week for us. We're prepping for certification. He has to recertify annually. It's a series of tests for tracking and bite work and drug detection and all that. During the bite work preparation, he broke a canine tooth almost off at his gum line. So he actually had surgery this morning to clean that up and repair that a little bit.
So full report, Lambo is going to be just fine?
Just fine.
What does salute to service mean to you?
To me, it really means honoring those who have come before us, really. Those that have made law enforcement or first responding the reputation that it is. Just trying to do my best to live up to that reputation. Being out there, making a positive difference in the community, going home safe at the end of the night. It's something different every day, knowing that you can actually make a difference in someone's life when they need it most.
Oh, love that. Officer Dan Reese, our first of 6, and I said 6 because we have co-honorees on Thursday, I believe. We'll take a break on Salute to Service presented by Waterstone Bank. We'll meet the officer in a little more detail. Officer Dan Reese, Waukesha Police Department. We're going to talk about an event that's coming up, and I love the fact that we're talking about a canine officer here because that's a big deal for departments. I know we had one in Oak Creek, and Leslie Frederick is also here as a nominator. Terrific story. Great job, Jazz, on that little feature piece there. And all this stuff will be available, of course, on our podcast page later. Love telling these stories. We'll have more of this story on Salute to Service presented by Waterstone Bank after this on 620 WTMJ.
More of Steve Scaffidi Salute to Service on WTMJ, presented by Waterstone Bank after this.
Trees on the Move, offering ideas for outdoor living and beautifying with landscape consultation, design, and installation, including retaining walls, paved patios, tree trimming, and more. Trees on the Move's been offering landscape services for over 47 years and now offers stamped and colored concrete drives, patios, and sidewalks. Beautify your yard this year with Trees on the Move. TreesOnTheMove.com.
From planning to planting, Trees on the Move.
Hey, it's WTNJ Steve Scaffidi for Heiser Automotive. I love talking about Heiser. I've had so many great vehicles over the years. I was driving a 2023 Chevy Silverado. I've just purchased a brand new Chevy for my wife, Kathy. We love that vehicle. But let me tell you about some of the great programs they have. Safe and Sound. Always want to be safe and sound in your new vehicle or pre-owned. Vehicle exchange. You get a vehicle, you try it for a little bit, maybe you don't love it. You can exchange it. That's for new and pre-owned vehicles. How about this one? Roadside Assistance for Life. Are you kidding me? Always protected when you're out on the roads of our great state or our country. All the great service, all the great customer service. I love talking about Heiser, and I have for more than 5 years. They are such a great company to work with. If you're looking for a vehicle, if you need service work done, body shop work, whatever it is, they're number one in customer service for a really good reason. They're good at it. Check it out. Heiser.com or one of 5 great locations in southeastern Wisconsin. That's why they say every day, today's your day.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Highlight your long weekend when the Brewers kick off a 3-game series against the Red Sox on Memorial Day, featuring the best way to start summer, Dollar Hot Dog Day. Keep the summer vibes going into the week as kids and seniors can get 50% off select tickets at the game on Wednesday, May 28th. What's better than a long weekend, Brewers baseball and dollar hot dogs? Find your seats today at brewers.com.
A Blaine's Farm and Fleet original story.
Why is everyone coming on their riding mowers and UTVs?
I figured all the neighbors could use a break from yard work, so I invited them for
a ride-on lawnmower movie?
Or, as I like to say, a movie.
We've got the value you need to do things your way, like 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil as low as $19.99 after mail-in rebate. And check out new Teskey utility and power sport trailers. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
I'm Brett Matschke, and you're due for service.
Richlands. I'm Annie Schwartz. You're listening to Salute to Service.
All right, Salute to Service. First honoree of this year, 2025. He is a Waukesha police officer. Dan Reese, and I always throw in the canine officer as well. Lambo, L-A-M-B-O, nominator, Leslie Frederick. And I've said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. Just a great, this is what I love about this. How you describe the person you're nominating, the context you provide is one of the reasons that I go the next step and I contact and we pick some of these people. So great job, Leslie.
I tried.
Officer Reese, you became a police officer, but then you wanted, the goal was always to handle a canine?
Yeah. We didn't even have a canine unit for the first portion of my career. But that was always in the back of my mind as something I would like to get into.
So what functionally changes day to day from what you do from what the other officers do?
Not a whole lot, to be honest.
Okay.
I do have the added responsibility, but I'm still out there on patrol, handling calls, enforcing traffic laws, things of that nature.
And Lambo just rides in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
All right, so Leslie, how proud are you of this guy? I mean, it's a cool thing.
I am very proud of him.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about a life of public service, they're not easy, and I'll ask Dan the same question. But when you're watching Dan from what'd you say, 4 years old or whatever it was, become the officer that he is and show these leadership abilities and save. I can't even imagine what it's like to save someone's life. It's actually, that story prompted me to re-sign up for CPR training because I had it so many years ago. I've forgotten all of it. I don't want to be that person that's standing there. But I mean, how cool is that?
It's cool. I mean, it's totally different. And like when I talk to Dan, he's not in it for the awards, not
I know
all
that.
Not. He's doing his job. So the recognition is just a plus.
So I have a question because Lambo lives with you, right? So you're with this dog all the time, and it is both your teammate and your pet, right? Or do you not refer to him as a pet?
I wouldn't refer to him as a pet, but he is with me 24/7.
But because I have to imagine, no matter what, when you're in the field, the care you have for your other officers and the brotherhood and the teammates and stuff. But this has to be to a different level as far as the emotional bond you have with Lambo. I'm assuming
100%.
And so when we told the story in the feature in the last segment, as far as when you deploy Lambo into a dangerous situation, like what does your heart do? Because it has to feel like this is his job, but it's also your boy.
In that moment, really, it's just relying on our training.
Yeah.
Knowing he's going to do what he's been trained to do, and he's out there to protect us, really.
One of the things you told me, and it's important because I know this is a common theme among canine officers in those programs across the state, is this is not tax dollars. These are donations. And I know that you guys exist on that. I think our community, Oak Creek, does the same thing. We've had people fund this program for years, and it's so beneficial to local departments. Talk about that. I'm actually going to provide the link on our write-up on our website so people can actually donate, because I know these canine programs are so popular with the public that you serve so well. But do you have a fundraiser coming up? And I want you to talk about that.
Sure. So we have attained our 501c3 status, meaning we're not for profit. We don't use a dime of tax dollars towards anything canine related except for our funds, or our wages, rather. Equipment, the squad car itself.
Surgery.
Lambo's tooth surgery he just underwent. Everything comes out of our canine budget, which is donation driven. I
don't want to end this without saying this, because you don't do it for the awards or any of that, but there are some cool things you get for being one of our honorees. 2 tickets to the Waterstone Bank Air and Water Show, and Blue Angels are going to be at that thing, including a parking pass. $25 gift card to Botana's Restaurant, $100 gift card to the Packing House, and there's other stuff thrown in. There'll be a plaque that we'll get to you. But I know you don't do it for that. But I want to thank Leslie first for sending in the nomination, and for you for doing a great public service as a first responder, and demonstrating, I think, pretty clearly, one, how important these local positions are in our local departments. And, you often, this is a common theme among first responders, you meet people on the worst day of their life often, and you have to react in real time. You don't get to pause and think about it. You often have to do these things right away. And to demonstrate a high level of public service is one of the reasons we selected you as our first honoree. So congratulations on all of that. And thanks for the great job that you do. You're a great example of why I and we like to do this.
Thank you.
Officer Dan Reese, Waukesha Police Department. I wonder what the folks in Waukesha are going to say about this. So we'll get some good...
We heard you have to bring treats now?
Yeah. You got to bring the cupcakes.
You made the news.
And Leslie, fantastic job. You weren't nervous at all. You did a great job.
No, not at all.
All right. We're going to take a picture after the show. So stick around. This is just one of six great stories. Going to have a bonus one on Thursday. I love telling the stories. Thanks to Waterstone Bank and all of our great partners for letting me do this, letting us do this. This is a great, great week of the year. Salute the Service presented by Waterstone Bank. Quick break on the program. We'll be back after this.
Kick off your summer right with big seasonal savings at Fleet Farm. Kingsford 16-pound 2-packs of charcoal briquettes are just $17.99. Suffolk's braided fishing line is only $7.99 a spool. And get a free $25 gift card with every $100 you spend on select Columbia apparel and footwear. For more of the hottest summer specials at the best prices guaranteed, stop by your local Fleet Farm or check out our weekly ad at fleetfarm.com.
Hey, it's WTNJ Steve Scaffidi from Milwaukee Weight Loss. If you haven't guessed, if you're watching on YouTube, I lost 40 pounds in the last about 3.5 months. It's the secret, by the way, to losing up to a pound of fat every day. Their doctors develop easy to follow. I could do it. You can follow it, right? You lose weight fast, naturally, safely, no drugs, no injections, no serious side effects, none of the gimmicky stuff, the meals, bars, shakes. You just do the work. The program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good. I'm on the program for a year. I kept losing weight. I've lost 5 more pounds since I stopped the reduction phase. Get this, though. Their program costs up to half as much as some of the other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Schedule your free consultation today. Do not wait. Most patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month. I did it. You can do it. It's crazy to watch your body lose that weight, but you know what? Your clothes fit better. You'll feel better. Here's what you got to do. Call 262-449-1180, 262-449-1180, or go online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Frondelmax Vextolando.
Why are you dressed like a wizard?
Because the Brooklyn cabinet at Penny Mustard reminds me of the hallowed halls of a faraway magical campus.
That curved top is pretty enchanting.
Curvalosa Wizamundo.
And with all the configurable options, you get to work your magic.
Configurabulus Maximus.
The bewitching Brooklyn cabinet. American-made with locally sourced lumber and built to last for generations. Starting at $43.78 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Well, spring is here, and it's the perfect time for you to get an awning installed on your porch, deck, or patio just in time for the beautiful weather. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington that provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you can receive $150 off your purchase. Call 414-AWNINGS or visit comfortawnings.com to learn more.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to adventknows.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Congratulations to Waukesha Police Officer Dan Reese and K-9 Officer Lambo. They're our first of 6 honorees. Yes, I said 6. Good story tomorrow, life-saving story. They're all different, and then that one will really, really probably make you tear up a little bit.
A little verklempt.
And here's the cool part about that story. The officer and the individual have not been together since that incident.
And are they both going to be here tomorrow?
They're supposed to be, yeah. So that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a tough one. Those are hard to get through sometimes.
I think I have my Kleenex
tissues.
box.
You have your tissues box. All right, so you got to throw out the first pitch. How you feeling post?
Sore.
So you like really trained.
I warmed up. The competitive nature in me, like the competitor in me was like, I'm not going to go out there and embarrass myself. And so Coach Zepecki,
Joe Zepecki?
Joe Zepecki kindly offered his time to practice Saturday morning. And we did. It was great. It was fun. It was actually fun to throw the ball.
Yeah.
But now, 2 days later, those are muscles I haven't used in quite some time. But I just showed you, I did play Little League for 1 year in Madison.
It's a cute little picture.
Kalani's Topsoil was our team. I was one of 2 girls with all the boys. And so I used to be able to throw the ball, kind of.
Yeah.
I played softball the next year. There's a reason I only played 1 year of Little League. But those are muscles that you're not used to necessarily using over and over again.
The times I've done it was like 5 years ago and before that. And I was still like throwing the ball around.
Playing softball 3 days, 3 days a week.
That was my
That'll
early
help.
life. But yeah, it's such a cool thing. And you got some great pictures. The images are awesome.
And it was, I've been in front of pretty big crowds between theater and public speaking. I've never been in front of that many people. It is a wild experience because it was so crowded because of the cribbage boards, right?
Yes.
People were getting in there early. There was a lot of people there because the draw of that cribbage board. So it was wild to be up there, especially because it was a night-ish game. The sun hadn't set yet. But looking up and seeing that many people, seeing your face on that big of a screen,
good thing you're good looking.
Also very wild.
Yeah, and thanks to the Brewers for hosting us and letting Kristin do that and letting me be on the field as well. So thanks to them for that. Thanks to all the fans who came out on WTMJ. We had a blast. I love that I got to meet people and take pictures.
People got to meet Frankie. There was a lot of,
Frankie
this is Frankie.
There. Yeah, Frankie was in attendance. So thanks to all of you who came out. It was a great day. Unfortunately, the game wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But they turned it around on Sunday.
Season's long.
We're going to do it again tomorrow. Tuesday edition, Point Taken. She's Kristin, I'm Steve. Join us tomorrow. Midday is next after the news. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi. The time has come to honor those in public safety that